Is that it?
All right.
All this meeting to order. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilor Jones, second. David Finsky,
Here.
Councilor Lenny,
Here.
Councilor Panessa.
Here.
Councilor Rosso,
Here.
Councilor Yornaga,
Here.
Councilor Beach. Mary Townform.
Thank you. All right, audience of citizens is next. Any has anything to like to ask or present to the council now would be your time. So you've met. Don't all rush at once. Going once, going twice. Okay, I'll go ahead and close the audience of citizens. And I wanted to just say a couple words, just to update a few things. I wanted to mention just the, unfortunately, that Board of Ed meeting we had a couple Board of Ed a couple weeks ago. That was unfortunate. You know, got the first time we tried it was difficult. Wanted to express their opinions. I think there was, I read some things out there, so I just kind of wanted to straighten. I had been there from the beginning of the meeting to the end of the meeting. I think there was some confusion about the mask policy, which go ahead and straighten out. In a moment. Yeah, I think there was some confusion because the last time we met in July at the Berlin High School, we didn't have to wear masks. It wasn't in session. Actually, wasn't in session that night either. But there was a freshman orientation, so I didn't think that it was explained very well. But the BOE and superintendent, I did mention it to them that night, and but it was their meeting. It was their thing, and unfortunately, got a little noisy with some of the people, but we sat together the next day, or talked the next day. Superintendent Mr. Benigni and Chief Susi, and we came up with a little bit better game plan, and they explained it a little bit better. I think at the beginning of the meeting on Wednesday, the following that Monday meeting, this was in August, and it went well. So we kind of worked it out and straightened it out, and it's just one of those things. But nobody was inciting a riot there. It was just people that were very passionate about what they wanted to get to the BOE. So we kind of worked it out for the next meeting, and everything went well. I wanted to mention also the masks. If we just our mask policy, so it's clear, because I think it was even mentioned at the BOE meeting, the second one, they had the wrong, so the governor's emergency powers, has through the end of September, the way I understand is that the Board of Education and all the towns have a mandatory mask policy. However, the towns are not mandated to have a mask policy. It's been left up to the towns based upon what you think is going on in your town, what you want to have, what you want to do. So we here in Berlin do not have a mandatory mask policy. We do have, Roche had put out a memo a couple, maybe 2-3 weeks, maybe a month ago now, right? About masks at town hall being, we have it on the door there. We suggest you wear it. We certainly tell the employees if they want to wear it, they can wear it. If people are too close to, citizens coming in, they can wear a mask or not wear a mask. We suggest it strongly, but we won't throw anybody out of town hall if they walk in without a mask, right? Is that basically it in a nutshell, or if I missed it?
Well,
correctly.
clarification.
Yes, please.
So let me take a step back. My goal as a town manager is to keep the town staff safe so that we could deliver our services uninterrupted. There's an echo here, I don't know why, it's like the voice of God.
Yeah, I know.
Stand back a little. So what I have done in the past and also this year, since I'm not the expert in public health, I've tried to follow guidance from the CDC, the Department of Health, and then our local health district. And their guidance, recommendations actually say that if you are current policy, if you are not vaccinated, that you have to wear a mask indoors at all times. But if you are vaccinated, and if you can't be 6 feet away from another individual, you are asked to wear a mask indoors. And that's the policy that we rolled out for the town staff. And frankly, that's what the 3 federal, state, and local health authorities want us to do, even for people coming to the town hall. I made the decision based on past experience and the agony that some of the staff members have to go through fighting the whole mask on no mask situation. And we said, if we are suggesting you to wear a mask, if you don't wear a mask, we'll still serve you, but all the staff will continue to wear a mask. That's where I left it, and it is, the letter was sent to the town hall staff, to the town staff, not to the Board of Ed, not to the people. So the other one, I just also wanted the governor's direction for the own towns to decide whether they want to have a mask mandate or not. And that's not up to the state. So some towns like West Hartford have come up with, their council came up with a mask mandate, Bloomfield. And some towns are just asking the businesses to decide what they want to do. So I hope that clarifies the town position.
It does. Yeah, it does. I appreciate that because I think even the BOE that night mentioned a different policy the first or second night. So everyone seemed confused, unfortunately, which I'm sure led to some of the issues. So I'm glad. Thanks, Roche, for working on that. Get that out there tonight. Final thing would be I'll let Mr. Luddy here go ahead and just mention we had our first meeting of the committee for the community center, senior center, the advisory committee for the council. So just update
Yeah, now.
on it. Yeah.
We had our first meeting, I think it went good. Our objective is just to be advisory committee to the town council, review our statements of need by the 2 committees, aging, commission on aging, and the partner Recs, and just do some investigating of other community/senior centers and senior centers and or community centers, and just advise the town council of how we're going to move forward. It's going to be an open process. Everything's going to be right there. Everybody's free to discuss whatever they want. We'll move forward best we could.
That's good. Yeah, it's a good first meeting. I thought a little bit long, maybe, but what was it? 3 hours? 3 hours we sat there, but it's okay. You got stuff done and you're rolling. So trying to move it forward. So that's all good. So thank you. Just wanted to throw that update out there. So now we can move on to our meeting agenda. We've got our consent agenda. So we've got, what have we got here? 8 topics, donations for the Radical Golf for the Berlin Social and Youth Services, Cup Golf. Deck fee of $100, asking for a deck fee by Master Sergeant John Grady Way for the company organizational day, Saturday, September 18th, Park and Rec. Approve the request of Wellspring Church to waive all fees associated with permitting a temporary tent. accept $4,000 juvenile review board grant on behalf of the town and appropriate the funds to the part-time help workers comp, social security expense accounts. I want to accept donations to the Rural Animal Control, accept monetary donations totaling $1,300 for the library, and breaks down how it's going to be deposited. Accept the donation of $1,050 and appropriate the funds to the supplies expenditure account and approve the request of when we can of the Kensington Congregational Church to waive the additional $79.90 law enforcement attendance fee for the festival on the Hill. So I know we had waived the fees for Kensington Congregational Church, but I'm just curious, what is the $79.90 law enforcement attendance fee? I never heard of that one before, but I'm just curious what it is.
It went over the amount that you've had waived before,
Gotcha. Okay.
so this is an additional,
Fee.
being very, very good.
Okay.
They're saying, okay, it went higher than they thought it would,
Gotcha.
so that's why they need the 79.
Okay.
To increase the favor.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Okay. So that's our consent agenda, and any questions on it, comments? If not, we'll go and take a motion.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, Councilor Levy here, I make a motion to accept the 8 items in the consent agenda tonight.
Second on that? Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, so moved. Thank you. Agenda item.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. First item on the agenda is the waiver for Vermont Systems. And I have General Chua or David X on the line.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Oh, wow, that's my picture. I'm looking back at myself. That's interesting. Okay, so the Parks and Rec Department uses Vermont System for our recreation management software. We've actually been using it for a very long number of years. It has all our databases in it. It's how we do all our registrations and everything. And actually, it was never over 10,000 before. The only reason it went over 10,000 is we got a directive from IT and business continuity 2 years ago to move to the cloud-based software. So everything is backed up on the cloud. And that's why the cost is now over $10,000 every year.
Okay. All right. Any questions on this? Let's take a motion.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I move to waive the town's bidding procedures to allow the Parks and Recreation Department to continue to use Vermont Systems for its recreation management software and an amount not to exceed $12,522. Since this is in the best interest of the town.
Second on that? Second. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so moved.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Hans. Thank you for coming to our Disney ride. It's like a Disney ride, a little more like Disney World.
Agenda item number 2 is a performance review contract for the VNA. It's a little bit background here. If you probably recall during the budget process, the Board of Finance asked us to engage an expert consultant to come and review the VNA, look at ways that you can market it, expand the revenue, find some efficiencies. And we've been through a big process in December, rather than holidays. We didn't have any takers this time. We put it out, and got the word out to everyone. Except enough really helped with passing on the bid, and 2 companies did it, and what we have here is the lower bid. But I do want you to introduce Barbara Royce, who is the new PNA administrator / clinical supervisor. With the departure of Wendy and Jennifer, we have combined the 2 positions to one to realize some savings, and she has been looking at the VNA inside out to take a different perspective. So Barbara, I'll turn it over to you. You want to just talk a little bit about the contract?
That's not Barbara.
That's
Jeff.
Are you on mute, Barbara? You might want to unmute yourself. Okay. I'll just say, I don't think she's having difficulty getting in. So the group that you're going is with C3. Their proposal was very descriptive. They gave a very good explanation of what are the types of approaches they're going to take, the recommendations they're going to make. Compared to the other group that was.
Hello?
Oh, hey.
Hi, sorry, I'm having a hard time with the computer. How are you, everyone?
Hey, Barbara, welcome. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Sorry about that, I had to change out some settings. So yes, we have the two companies, Bright Semi-Tree is the one we were looking to go with. They're between $12,000 and $14,000 plus implementation costs. So we're looking about 25,000, no more than 25,000. They will do organizational structure, look at the positions we have, look at the workflow that we're working with, documentation, staffing, financial analysis, just take a look at everything. I contacted them, they said it will take 4 to 6 weeks from kickoff to delivery, and then about 3 to 4 months for implementation. So that's where we're looking at right now, to kind of review and see what can we do better at the VNA.
Well, that's great, Barbara. Welcome. First of all,
Thank you.
Glad to have you. And, you know, we've been, as you know, looking, I don't know what the word to use. We fixed the VNA. The VNA is great with service to our people and, you know, service to the patients, but the funding has always been a little bit of an issue for several years now. So we appreciate you looking at this and you getting started with this, and you know, hope they have some great suggestions to help us do some reforms here for the funding side of the VNA. Service side is excellent. Funding.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Any other questions? No, go ahead and make a motion.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, move to authorize the town manager to enter into a contract agreement 2022-01 Semi-Tree Healthcare Consultant, as the lowest responsive bidder for a performance review. Authorize the town manager to increase the contract value for change orders to the amount not to exceed $25,000.
Thank you. Second on that.
Second.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thanks, Barbara.
Thank you, everyone.
On to agenda item number 3, which is coronavirus relief funds. And I think Chief Chris Susie is on the line to talk about that.
I am. Good evening, everybody.
Hey, Chief.
So in all, how you doing? You guys are coming in a little choppy, so I'm going to talk. Hopefully you can hear me good, and I'll try to get it in. So in August, we were notified we were eligible to apply for up to $35,000 in coronavirus relief funds, and it's related to crime exacerbated by the pandemic. So in Berlin, that's specifically property crimes, theft for motor vehicle theft, burglaries, and our problem with catalytic converter thefts. So we applied, we were approved, and it's a reimbursement grant. So no money is necessary up front when we do covert surveillance, or we put extra officers on strategically in different areas. We can submit for reimbursement, and we have until December 31st of this year to do that. So we're tracking all of our overtime and costs related to combating these crimes, and it's either if we get the 35,000 before the 31st, then we'll do the reimbursement. You do it all at once. So this is simply for the town council to accept the reimbursement from OPM.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Can you hear us, Chief, or what?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, it's coming in a little choppy here and there.
Okay, all right. All right, well, appreciate that, and appreciate you guys. I know you have been and will be, continue to put in extra efforts to help us here in Berlin. And you guys are always out there trying to stop crime in our neighborhoods, and unfortunately, it seems like it's a very difficult issue to do for all the surrounding towns. In fact, quite frankly, all of Connecticut. So, but do the best we can, and hopefully these funds will help us do that. So,
Yeah, for sure.
any questions for the chief?
I have a quick one though. This money, the 35,000, is that a part of the money that we get as a town? It's a totally different thing.
Additional.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't catch that. So you were asking about the 35,000? I didn't catch what the question was though.
The question was whether or not that was part of the allocation that the town got for the 6 million we got, but it was clarified that it was not.
I don't think so. I think this was separate because we were notified that at the police department we were eligible to apply for these funds.
Okay, separate from the other money. Which, by the way, right, next week, I think we have a joint meeting with the Board of Finance to go over what we can do with it, right? We're gonna get a little bit of direction for down the road, so that'll be good. If there's no other questions, we'll go ahead and take a motion on this item.
Sure. I move to accept the $35,000 in coronavirus relief funds from OPM for the reimbursement of allowable police department expenses associated with their efforts to combat crime challenges exacerbated by the pandemic.
Second on that? Second. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved.
Thank you. Agenda item number 4 is the purchase of thermal printers for the police cruisers. Chief, you're back again?
Yes, I'm still here. So in this year's budget, we were approved for $16,000 to replace our thermal printers in each police car, and those are used to print out the citations, the e-ticketing system. They were due for replacement. Our new IT staff member, Oscar Espinoza, was able to check with a bunch of vendors and found Telrepco using a GSA contract, and he got a quote for $15,280. So we're just looking to get the approval of the purchase for those printers and get them installed in our cruisers.
Great. Thanks, Chief. Any questions on this one? Now we'll go ahead and take a motion.
And Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the purchase of thermal printers and associated components from Telrepco utilizing GSA Schedule 70 contract 47 QTCA 19B00MM, amount not to exceed $15,280.
Thank you. Second on that? Second. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved.
Great, thank you.
So I'm just a couple of people that are listening saying that sound is still terrible. Can you hear? Now, it's saying, I thought after you fixed it, but I just texted the guy back and he said it's still not good.
Even now it's not working?
Yeah.
Close to the mic? Can you ask the person if they can hear me?
Can hear everyone calling in, but the council is a mess.
Can they hear us now?
No, let me ask.
Because I'm on the mic. Just ask if he was able to hear me when I'm talking.
Any answer.
Actually, Chris Susi's still on. I didn't hear anything until just now.
You didn't hear anything, Chris?
No,
You hear us
I
now?
heard. Yeah, like you'll come on and then it'll cut out. I'll get every like third word, and then sometimes it'll stay on for a little longer. But
So this person said can't hear anything.
That's not
I'm
good.
gonna play with some things and see if.
Yeah, just give us a minute.
Right, can you ask him, Rose, can you talk for a few
It's
minutes?
all broken up, he said, and kind of what Chris said, kind of the same. Oh, now he just said that's better.
Okay,
yeah, now you guys are crystal clear.
Okay.
Did you do something there, Kate?
I'm playing, yeah.
You're playing, okay.
Whatever you played with, all good.
Yeah.
And it's good
Yeah,
now.
no, it's perfect now.
Oh, is it? Okay, good. All right. That's
Nice
good.
job, Kate.
Okay, we're good to go?
Great. So all our
Yeah.
initial stuff, nobody heard it. Well, that's all right, whatever.
No, you can hear it. It's just coming in bits and pieces.
Gotcha.
I think they heard at the beginning. It was just
Yeah, it's in the middle there somewhere, maybe.
somewhere
Yeah.
in the middle.
All right, well, looks like we fixed it. Thank you, Kate.
If you can hear, Chris, you're done for this agenda
Yep,
item.
yep. I can hear it. Thank you. Have a good night.
See ya. See you, chief.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Appreciate
We'll
it.
see you.
All right.
All right. The next item, item number 5 is Belfour Property Restoration Purchase Order Approval. Had to do with some work that we had to get done for the school opening. And it is, had to go through insurance to get some of the work done. And I'm gonna have Doug Solak give you a little update on that as to
All
what
right, Doug.
has been going on.
Good evening, everybody. How are you?
Hey, Doug.
Yeah, we're fighting a few challenges this summer. We have our building codes and standards, ASHRAE, and then we have the guidance that came out, Department of Public Health with fresh air. Bringing hot, humid air into a building poses some challenges. So over the summer, we try to regulate that with the unoccupied settings, saving some energy. And of course, the climate, the way it was this summer, caused some unforeseen conditions in the relocatables at Griswold prior to school opening. So this firm came in, they're on the short list with our Kerma carrier. We do use a few other firms. This one just was able to get the staffing and equipment there to help us with the situation prior to school opening. And then just in light of what's going on with the climate and with COVID and concerns with air quality and anything else within the buildings, we just want to have authority should an issue arise throughout the fiscal year to have somebody that can come in. Hopefully not, but we just want to save a step should anything come up unforeseen throughout the year. It's a national contract provider. It is on our Kerma shortlist and one of the 3 firms that we work with. So,
Okay.
and certainly based in light of what happened last week with the storm, where they're back on scene at our public works complex for 2 buildings. We had some water.
Oh, yeah, had a bunch of water there, huh?
So we're working. Unfortunately, that's through Kerma through our insurance for that project, but the one at the school is a little unforeseen. So.
All right, great. Any questions for Doug? Go ahead and take a motion.
Sure. I will move to approve the increase of purchase orders if needed in fiscal year 2022 to Belfour Property Restoration of Wallingford, Connecticut, utilizing Omnia Partners Contract R191601 for up to $50,000, utilizing Department 61 school expenses up to $25,000 in Department 38 public buildings, as this is in the best interest of the town.
All right, thank you. Second on that?
I second it.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Doug.
Thanks, Doug.
Agenda item number 6 is fiscal year 2021 budget transfers to fund capital items. If you recall, last year when we went through the budget process, the Board of Finance removed most of the capital funding and asked us to come back at the end of the year if we had any projected surpluses. So we do have one, and I'm going to have Kevin Delaney give you a background and update you on where we're going with this. Kevin, if you're on.
Yep, I'm here. Good evening.
Hi, Kevin.
So we are into the middle of the audit process, and we are projecting about a $1.8 million total surplus for the town of Berlin. It's primarily driven by a number of unexpected position vacancies, some gaps during the year and some for a good portion of the year, as well as some savings from COVID driven for contractual services and some other things where we just simply couldn't do the work because of the COVID during the first half and a little more than the first half of the year. And so we are coming back to ask for a few items, and we think these are critically important capital investments into the community. I will tell you that the department heads, several department heads, especially the major capital users, got together and we had a call, and certainly there are a number of items that we discussed, and the motion includes a couple of them. One in particular is some concerns about the East Berlin pool and some work that needs to be done to keep that to the level that it needs to be in order to keep it open. So as we looked at the amount of money and looked at the opportunity, we did not include that, and we're going to continue to do more short-term work to maintain the pool. But I don't want it to be lost in the motion, even though it's not on the list. There are 8 items that we are requesting to transfer some funds so that we can carry that over and execute some of the capital requests. And I'll just quickly walk through those 8 items. The first is $157,500 to purchase 3 police cruisers. This continues to be our annual cycle as the cruisers are being used across each shift, especially for the patrol units. While they may not have 100,000 miles, let's say, of actual road mileage, they have beyond that on engine miles just from idling and other use. And so routinely replacing the vehicles is critically important. The second is purchasing another truck for the highway department. It's about 4 years ago when we replaced 3 vehicles that were really not safe to be on the road, and so were taken off. And you'll recall we took some short-term financing and replaced those vehicles. This one would replace a vehicle that is sidelined for a good portion of the year so that the highway department can have greater confidence that it will be available for critical snow removal. And so this would replace that vehicle and provide another vehicle into the fleet. The $150,000 that's next on the list is to the vehicle reserve account, and it's actually to purchase 2 specific vehicles. The grounds department is operating from some quite old trucks and dump trucks, and so this would replace one of those trucks. The grounds department handles a lot of the snow and ice clearing around our schools. They handle many of the parking lots, walkways, stairs, the schools, the town hall, and some of the other public buildings. The other part of it would be to replace a facilities van. It's been many years since those vans have been replaced, and they're really in need of replacement. The next amount is $50,000. This was specifically pulled out of the budget for ADA improvements. A study was done a few years ago, and while the town is grandfathered in many of the buildings from ADA improvements, there is also an opportunity to add railings, address some issues in some of the restrooms in the public facilities, and try to at least address some of the smaller items here. The next item is $100,000 for roof tape, I guess you call it. It's basically the items that are inside the gutters at the town hall. They're not working effectively, and so in the winter you can end up with ice dams, which as they thaw can lead to backup flooding, including into the police department. As well as if it were to go back further in the winter, you can also have roof and soffit damage. The next one is $100,000, the fire radio system upgrade. We don't bond for contingency on our major projects. That way we're not borrowing for money that there's a good chance that we won't need. There's an opportunity, we're into contingency a little bit with this project and it's nearly complete. And so this funding would allow us to complete the project and then come back to you and close out the bond ordinance and not borrow additional funds to complete that project. the $50,000 on McGee Air Quality, rather than purchasing and putting in one of the two units on the top of McGee, the decision was made a short time ago. You would approve purchasing two of the items. So both units would be purchased, and this money would help supplement town staff in being able to install both of those units and take care of two old HVAC units on the top of McGee. And then finally, the last piece we're requesting is for South Kensington Fire Department. The roof is leaking. It is the one fire station that the town does own. And so we're requesting funds to replace the leaking roof on the fire station. All total, that's $932,500, which admittedly is a significant sum of money. But we feel that these are critically important capital items that the town can definitely use and address some critical health and safety needs. With that, I'll stop for any questions.
Thanks, Kevin. Hey, just a quick question on the police vehicles. How many vehicles are we, do we have a number of vehicles? I can't remember from the budget what we talked about.
This one would be 3 vehicles.
Great.
And it includes an assumption of inflation. You've probably heard the numerous reports about challenges to get parts for many of these vehicles, and that challenge continues.
Right.
And so we want to get into the pipeline so that we're able to replace our older vehicles as soon as possible.
Right. And I think, I want to say every year we've been around 3 or 4 new police vehicles, right? If I recall, the last few years.
We have. There was a period where we purchased a couple more because we were trying to catch up for a couple of years where we didn't purchase any.
Right.
But ideally, the replacement cycle would be about 3 vehicles a year.
How far back did we not purchase any? Do you remember?
I believe that was around 4 or 5 years ago. We went a year or 2 without purchasing any.
We've since caught up though now, right?
We
With
have. And this would allow us to avoid falling back behind.
Good. All right. That's good. All right. Any other, and just the fire radio. So we've been working on that upgrade, right? For a while.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is similar to the police upgrade that we did probably 2 or 3 years ago.
Right.
When we got to the end of that project, we had eaten into a little bit of the contingency, but it allowed us to address some critical needs.
Right.
Similarly here, we're dealing with a backup generator at one of the sites. So in the event we have a power outage, the radio system, which is a critical communication device, whether, good times or bad, will still be operable. So I think they're doing a good job with it. It's just going in a little contingency, and this would avoid borrowing for that little bit of contingency money.
All right, great. Thank you. Other questions for Kevin? Okay. Thanks. So, what do we got to do here now? One for each transfer, I guess, right?
Yep, that's the way Kate wants it.
Okay.
She's got her finger on the button over there. So.
Whatever Kate wants.
I do
Kate.
them all at once,
Kate-
but I
Kate
think you
gets.
get lost. But
What's that? All right, so we'll just go ahead, go through them here.
Okay, first one, I moved to transfer $105,000 from the police personnel account and $52,500 from the police pension account, both in fiscal year 21 general fund, to the transfer to other funds account pending approval of the Board of Finance.
Second on that?
Second.
There's no questions on this. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So moved.
Number 2, I moved to transfer $125,000 from the refuse disposal account, $45,000 from the street lighting account, and $5,000 from the blue collar personnel account, all in the fiscal year 21 general fund, to the transfer to other funds account pending the approval of the Board of Finance.
All right, thanks. Second on that?
Second.
There's no comments or questions on this. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So moved.
Okay, number 3, I moved to transfer $100,000 from the recreation program help account, $25,000 from the blue collar personnel account, and $25,000 from the lifeguards pool worker account, all in fiscal year 21 general fund, to the transfer to other funds account pending approval of the Board of Finance.
Second on that?
Second.
Thank you. If there's no comments, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Okay, number 4, Mr. Mayor, I move to transfer $50,000 from the blue collar personnel account in the fiscal year 21 general fund to the transfer to other funds account pending the approval of Board of Finance.
Second on that? Second. There's no questions. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries.
Okay, number 5, I move to transfer $50,000 from the telephone account, $35,000 from the electricity account, and $15,000 from the natural gas account, all in fiscal year 21 general fund to the transfer to other funds account pending the approval of the Board of Finance.
Second on that? Second. There's no other comments. Take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Okay, number 6, I move to transfer $50,000 from the vehicle fuel account and $50,000 from the mid-manager's personnel account, both in fiscal year 21 general fund to the transfer to other funds account pending the approval of the Board of Finance.
Second on that? Second. There's no other comments or questions. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Okay, number 7, I move to transfer $50,000 from the contractual services account in the fiscal year 21 general fund to the transfer to other funds account pending the approval of the Board of Finance.
Second on that? Second. Thank you. If there's no other comments or questions, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Okay, last one, I move to transfer $45,000 from the school's worker compensation account, $35,000 from the issue of June 2020 account, $35,000 from the school's overtime account, $30,000 from the school's contractual services account, and $5,000 from the fire department's workers' compensation account, all in the fiscal year 21 general fund, the transfer to other funds account pending the approval of the Board of Finance.
Thank you. Second on that? Second. If there's no comments and questions, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so moved.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin. Right. Agenda item number 7 is the Lutsip Road project. This is the Christian Lane, Deming Rome, Porter's Pass, the big project that's coming up. And we need an amendment, the design services, and I have Mike Ahern.
Good evening.
Background.
Yeah, this is, as I keep saying, a great project. Just to refresh everyone's memory, we received an initial commitment to fund from the DOT through the CROG for $3.558 million for doing the 3 roads. As part of that, we have to fund the design. So we selected Fuss and O'Neill through a competitive process. And we had a contract approved for an amount not to exceed $111,240. Right now, they're between 30% and 90% design. We did one task amendment early on for additional borings and geotechnical analysis, which actually paid off because we can do a little thinner pavement section and a little less disturbance based on their borings. So that was attached to your package. As part of the design, the cost started to escalate as far as the budget goes. So what they did was they looked into alternative technologies, one of which is cold in place recycling, where right now, as for a large portion of the project, they're going to mill off the lowest part of the, they're going to mill 3 inches off the top, then mill and actually repave with that processed material the lower 3 inches, because these roads are going to be 6-inch pavement section roughly, because it's very industrial and commercial. So as part of that, that was never envisioned. It was going to be mill and overlay or full depth reclamation or just, essentially conventional pavement. So they had to do some research and also support us going back to the CROG to get another $400,000 because we were at 3.558. We were going over 4 million. So now the LOTSIP participation is 3.9 million. So as part of that, they had to do multiple cost estimates, additional meetings. So they came up with another task amendment, which totals $32,800. They've already, in a way, returned that investment because they've already gotten us another $400,000 from the CROG and saved us quite a bit of money on this alternative technology. So what we're trying to do is continue this design and asking for the contract to be increased to an amount not to exceed $144,000. That will cover some of the additional work they've already done and take us to design, bidding, to contract award.
Okay.
complicated process, but
Yeah.
say the
Lot
least.
lot of gates to go through.
This is as a result of a committee of 4 or 5 years ago to study the traffic flow.
Part of their scope, the police commission had specific recommendations specifically around Christian and Deming, that intersection, because if you go by there, you'll see where the trucks are going over the curb. I think they hit a pole for my time here. They hit a pole, I think it's the pole right past the traffic control box as you're heading east on Deming. Also at Episcopal Road on Deming, that ends up queuing up. They're going to actually put a left turn pocket in there. So there were certain recommendations that they were aware of and they're in this design. But one of the biggest things that we're not really addressing like globally is the Turnpike intersection. What they are doing is they're going to formalize the pavement striping, increase the defined lane lengths coming up to the intersection. So hopefully people who want to go right to go south, especially when it's, departure time from some of those businesses, they can sneak by and not be stuck by someone who might be, sort of in the middle because there's no lane marking. So there will be some incremental improvements at that intersection, but all that information was given to them when they first started this process.
So its traffic flow was included in.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Thanks.
Any other questions for?
The cold in place recycling, Mike, is there the wear and tear on that? Is that pretty much the comparable to what we get
Yeah.
from regular asphalt?
It hasn't been used in Connecticut by DOT, so we had a little bit of education, and I wasn't familiar with it. It's like cold in place. What the heck? It really isn't fully cold. It's like around 100 degrees Fahrenheit, whereas the tilt count runs at 500 plus. But what it does is it's sort of a cool process. And we're going to only use it for the lower 3 inches, the binder layer. The top will be fresh because it's a little more porous because they're basically reprocessing and using the aggregate, the millings. But what they do is they mill it. Then they have almost like a little mini treatment unit that processes the aggregate, adds additives and binder, and then it comes out warm. And then they have a paving box behind it. So it's almost you're milling, processing, and then replacing it. So you're saving on a lot of cost. Milling, trucking the millings away, number one, and then bringing fresh asphalt, number two, at $80 a ton. That adds up. So our estimates were it probably saved $500,000.
And as far as like standing up to a winter around here with the snow, the ice, obviously the treatment that you put on the road for that kind of stuff, it would stand up pretty much.
Yeah, they're fairly confident, and as part of their geotechnical, the borings, they found that the base underneath Deming and Christian is actually pretty good. The first approach was going to actually pulverize the whole thing, pavement and the gravel like road base. But when they did the borings, they found that base is compact and solid. So what we'll do is mill to base, then throw 3 inches using this technology, and then 3 inches plus or minus, depending on where you are, of fresh asphalt.
Got it.
So yeah, no, I was educated in this process, and I'm like, it saves a lot of money, so.
Is there any signage for the end of that road? About 40 years ago, 7 people were killed there in one vehicle. And it's
At the end of which road?
The end of Deming into Christian Lane, they plowed into that bank, that dirt bank there.
Right.
And I just wonder if there's any signage.
There is signage, and the police commission actually approved the pavement and signing plan. So whatever they had, the consultant actually had some suggestions that the police commission basically revised. But all of that is DOT spec signage, and also the police commission has signed off on it. So I think it'll be an improvement, and also with the new markings and the approaches and the intersection improvements, I think it'll be a lot safer.
That's good to hear. I mean, that's always been a problem intersection there, right? Okay, if there's no other questions, go ahead and take a motion on this.
Mr. Mayor, I move to authorize the town manager to approve task amendment number 2 for the Lutsip Road project to increase contract 2021-01 with Fuss and O'Neill of Manchester, Connecticut, to an amount not to exceed $144,000.
Thank you. Second on that.
Second.
Any other additional questions or comments, council? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 8 is contract award for treated salt purchases Think winter must be coming, Mike.
Winter is coming.
Oh, please, not yet.
No, well, we have to get through the fall first,
Not yet.
hurricane season.
That's bad enough.
This, yeah, we want to buy salt from Morton Salt. They won the CROG bid at $68,085 a ton. Sorry, $68.85 a ton. I neglected to put in, I heard some comments the last time I didn't put any bids results in. So I have these for you if you want them. But just in brief, Morton was at 68.85. Cargill was, who we used last year, was $73.27 a ton. And Eastern Salt Company was at $85 a ton. So Morton Salt in this region is very competitive. And if anyone wants a copy, it's just one page. If you want it, I have it
It's all
here.
right. You read us the.
Okay,
So
yeah.
we.
Next
see
time I'll include it.
This is the better deal.
Absolutely.
Is that the delivered cost or do we pay trucking on?
That's delivered to to Town Farm Lane.
Do they come in through New Haven?
I think,
Because the state's infinite wisdom, there were 2 piers and they closed one last year.
yeah, I actually don't know where they come in. Yeah.
They can get it here. That's all.
Well, we called them and they said they can. So
Last
Jim's
year we
been
got
talking to
stuck.
them.
The state shut off the pier. The
Yeah.
salt companies were there, but the state.
Well, I'll double check on that, well, hopefully by the time we need it, it's, we have some salt in the shed right now, so it's not like we need it tomorrow. But we'll last for a couple of storms.
Thank you.
All right. If there's no other questions, we'll go ahead and take a motion.
Okay, I move to authorize the use of Morton Salt for treated road salt utilizing the Capital Region Council of Governments contract 718, snow and ice control through June 30th, 2022.
Second on that?
Okay.
Further comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Thank you. Agenda item number 9 pertains to streetlight maintenance, and it's a bid waiver for Pascarella Electric Corporation. Mike?
Right. Yeah, we've been using Pascarella Electric after we had some problems with Siemens in 2020. So we canceled Siemens contract and did some research. Pascarella Electric is an Eversource emergency electrical contractor. Had great references. We've been using them since probably mid of last year. I meant to get an on-call contract out, but they were doing such a good job. I kind of forgot about getting the on-call contract out. So right now we're sort of reaching the limit. So I want to just get a little bump up on the purchase order, and then I'll put an on-call contract out and formalize the arrangement with a competitive bid. And their rates are reasonable. We checked them against Siemens and against Tanco, who we used to use, and they're more than reasonable as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, thanks. Other questions for Mike? We'll go ahead and take a motion.
Okay, I move to authorize the town manager to waive the bidding requirements and increase the purchase order to Pascarella Electric Corporation for $25,000 for the town streetlight maintenance, as this is in the best interest of the town.
Second on that?
Second.
If no further comments or questions on that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So moved.
Right. Thank
Thank you very much.
Yep. Thanks, Mike.
Agenda item number 10 is the authorization for town manager to execute Connecticut Department of Housing Affordable Housing Plan Technical Assistance Grant Agreement. And I have Jim Mahoney.
Yes.
Hey,
So
Jim.
you recall a few months ago, the town council authorized the application to the Department of Housing for this affordable housing grant that that DOH is making available to all the towns. And so we've been awarded a $15,000 grant. And
Hey, Jim,
Yes.
if I may interrupt, are you,
Yes.
your camera is not on, is that on purpose?
I'm having a little technical difficulty here.
Okay,
so-
all right, sorry, go ahead. I just
Is that
want to
right?
make,
Okay.
And on the phone.
I'm sorry?
See both. Jim, are you both on the phone and the computer?
No, just the computer.
All right, you're echoing.
All right, well, go ahead,
Sorry, Jim.
sorry.
Okay, I'll try again. So this is we applied for the grant, we were awarded the grant, so this is authorizing the town manager to sign the grant award notice and appropriating the $15,000. And we've we've already selected FHI Studio to do the work as part, in concert with the Plan of Conservation and Development work.
Any other questions for Jim? I know we've talked about this before. So if not, we'll go ahead and take a motion.
Sure. I move to authorize the town manager to sign the notice of grant award for a Connecticut Department of Housing Affordable Housing Plan technical assistance grant of $15,000 to appropriate the grant funds to the Affordable Housing Plan Technical Assistance Grant account and refer the appropriation to the Board of Finance.
Second on that?
Second.
Any other comments or questions for Jim? If not, we'll go ahead and vote on the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Great, thank you. Agenda item number 11, authorization for the town manager to enter into a contract amendment with Loreto Engineering for services related to monitoring the removal of fill piles on the Boulevard project. Jim?
Yes, so previously we've approved the hiring of Cisco to remove the fill piles. We had approved money for Lorero to assist in the bidding and get approval from the Department of Health for an alternate work program for the project, which they've done. And so this will provide for inspection services during the removal process, which we're hoping is going to happen by the end of the month. And it would be charged to the state grant, the Brownfields grant.
Right. Thank goodness for the Brownsfield grant.
That's for sure.
How much, what do you think, rough estimate to date this has cost us? Do you know off the top of your head? If you don't, it's all right.
Well, yeah, over 500,000 so far.
Right.
And then we've got insurance reimbursement too, so probably well over 600.
Okay, yeah, I thought it was over $1 million. But so we have a couple different sources, okay. Okay, there's no other questions for Jim. We'll go ahead and take a motion.
Okay, I move to waive the bidding process and authorize the town manager to enter into a contract amendment with Loreto Engineering of $12,000 to provide inspection services related to the removal of ACM contaminated fill piles on 889 Farmington Avenue. The cost be charged to the municipal Brownfields grant account, as this is in the best interest of the town.
Second on that? I second the motion. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries.
All right, thank you. Agenda item number 12, authorization for town manager to enter into a Brownfields grant agreement related to the Connecticut's sand and stone properties. Jim?
Yes, we had previously authorized the town manager to apply for the grant and to sign the grant agreements. But, we've been awarded the grant. It's a two-step process. The first step is the proposal, which we've received and signed. And the second step is the grant agreement itself, which we hope to get any day now. And this authorization has to be within 30 days of the date we sign the grant agreement. So we have to re-up the authorization for the town manager to sign the grant agreements.
Enough?
No further questions. Go ahead and take a motion on this.
Sure. I move to approve the attached resolution to authorize the town manager to execute a grant proposal, the grant agreement and other documents as necessary to secure and carry out the proposals of a Brownfields assessment grant in the amount of $86,330 for the Connecticut sand and stone properties.
Second on that.
Second.
There's no further questions or comments. Motion on the floor here. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So moved.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
All right, agenda item number 13 pertains to blighted properties in town. And that's Article 2, Section 4-15 of the town ordinance requires us to go through this process. And I ask all the department heads to submit a list of what they think the blighted properties are when they go around town. Anywhere, the PD to Public Works to building departments to other officials. And they submitted that, and then I gave the list to the fire marshal, who went and individually inspected all these properties. And there's a form that they have to fill out. It says blighted property inspection sheet, and have to say, what is the reason that it gets on the blighted property. So we have 5 blighted properties that I'm submitting to the council. It is just a submission at this point. You have 75 days to review it, ask questions, accept it, edit it, take any action before 75 days. If you don't take any action, this becomes automatically the blighted properties of the town of Berlin.
Yes.
While we're on it, 77 Elton Road.
You read my mind. Yes. Yes.
You're in trouble.
That was.
Jennifer seemed pretty optimistic 4 or 5 years ago that we'd be able to get some closure on this. You know what's going on, or?
Well, we're going to probably try a different approach. Part of the reason is the owner pays the taxes, but non-responsive. And, we went there in the spring and cleaned everything up, took all the wood pile and all the muck that was around, and we did another cleanup a few weeks ago. But I think she has a different approach now that we have talked about, where we might be able to start implementing. I'll leave it at that for now. Perhaps fill you up later when we have specifics on that we might be able to get more traction and eventually force a sale of the house itself.
So you did do a second cleanup recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think the neighbors were complaining that there was some stuff left. They ran out of money or something for Public Works about a year ago. I know there was more to do. I'm sure more stuff grew in the
Yeah, I mean, the
meantime.
health department has been there, the building department.
Yeah, I know.
been there, but nobody can go inside the building.
Right.
It's probably you don't want to go inside the building.
Probably not.
For 15, 20 years, probably mold and a lot of other things
Yeah.
in there.
But I remember Jennifer saying that we're going to pursue it in court.
Yeah. Jeff's on the line. Jeff's been,
Was-
Jeff, do you want to add anything to?
Well, I think, yeah, I do. I mean, I think it's important to understand that you get can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
We got
Yeah,
you.
Yeah,
Yes.
you get a blight complaint, you investigate it, you issue a notice of violation, the property owner doesn't comply, you bring action in court that gets you specific relief based on that blight complaint. So the recent complaints, my understanding from our discussions a couple of weeks ago, the chief complaint now is an odor. And, we had town staff and health department staff investigate it. And, there's not a structural issue from a building code perspective. The health department hasn't found an evidence of infestation. So in terms of getting additional relief from the court, it's not enough just to go in and say, we have a complaint about how it looks, so let us do whatever it is that you're looking for us to do on the interior. The town has not adopted the International Property Maintenance Code. The town's blight ordinance concerns itself with exterior blight. So, in terms of getting additional court relief, we need some basis either from a building code or a health code perspective to get inside there. And even if we do, again, there's no mortgage on the property. The property owner pays the taxes. We can't take the property by eminent domain. It's not part of some economic development plan that would pass muster under Connecticut state law. So what Arosh referred to is taking a little bit of a different approach based on the blight liens and updating the amount of the blight liens and potentially pursuing, I don't want to talk too much about it in public session, but potentially pursuing that avenue as a way to either force the property owner's hand to take some action with respect to the property or give the town an alternative path to put an end to this. But it's different. The blight conditions that are being complained of now are different than the blight conditions that resulted in the original litigation. So, we can go back to court and we can update the amount of the liens. We can get an order to get inside. But unless we've got something from a building code or a health code perspective, other than exterior cleanups, there's not a heck of a lot that the law lets us do. It's private property, and the blight ordinance, consistent with Connecticut law, really ties our hands in terms of available remedies. So we're approaching it a little bit more creatively and a little bit differently because of the lack of cooperation and non-responsiveness from the property owner.
Yeah, that's amazing that the way that property still looks, that there's nothing we could do. I mean, you mentioned something else we could adopt, but I mean, we're consistent with state law now with what we have. Is this the best we could do?
Yeah, I mean, blight, the statute doesn't allow you to go inside the property without, the property owner's permission or court order. So, we can get a court order to get inside.
Yeah.
But based on the inspections by the building official and the health department, we don't have any new basis from a blight ordinance perspective to do more than the debris cleanups and related exterior maintenance that have been done. So when we had a call in late August, mid to late August about it, we talked about a little bit of a different approach, and that's what Arosh had referenced.
So, but without going inside, how would we know if the house is ready to fall down? I mean, you can't see some of that from the outside, right? And you can't tell if, I don't know, could be the center beam is falling apart. So God forbid somebody walked in there, the whole place could fall down. I mean, how do we know that it's not that dangerous? I guess that's my question.
Well, that's the building official. I mean, the building, the
inside he went.
The building code is a completely separate issue from the blight ordinance.
Yeah, right.
Okay, the building official and the health official have, under the building code and the health code respectively, the ability to issue orders and turn it over to the assistant state's attorney when the property owner fails to respond. But in order for them to issue orders, they have to, based on their inspections, conclude that there's a violation of the code that they have jurisdiction over. That's completely separate from blight. And we've asked them to go out there and do the inspections, and they've done so, and they've not issued orders because they haven't found the violations.
And that's inside the house they've gone.
No,
I don't know if they've been inside the house or not.
No,
they can't go inside.
you can't go in. So
Get a quote.
that's my point. So
You have to
you
get a
could
quote
see
on it.
some things from the outside, I'm sure, as a building official, but God only knows what's falling down inside, how dangerous it could be. That kind of makes no sense to me, but the law doesn't always make sense, but nor does building codes, but right. I mean, you can look at it and say, oh yeah, it looks okay to me, but without inspecting the basement, the rafters, right? The main beam of the house, how the heck would you know if it's safe or not? I guess that's my question. So there's no way to
typically, if you were going to do a structural integrity inspection, you would not only go inside the house, but you would do some testing.
Right.
Uh,
So can
and
we do
you
that?
know,
or-
we can get permission to get inside the house.
Yeah.
We're never going to be able to get permission to do any kind of destructive testing.
Okay.
You know, I mean,
Whatever.
if the building official goes inside the property,
Right.
and he finds violations and that it's an unsafe premises, that's again a building code enforcement action, not a blight action.
Is it worth trying to get an order to go in the
Sure.
house? All right. I
Yeah.
mean, that would just be my suggestion, right? I mean, I know you got a way to go, which is fine. I'm sure we could pursue both at the same time, right? And see
Of course.
I don't know. That would be my suggestion. Let's get inside that house and see what's wrong with it.
Yep.
If anything, maybe nothing. I get it, but if we've never even looked after all this time, after what? I don't know. That thing's been on, what, 12 years, 15 years of a blighted property, maybe longer than that. I don't know. So, Jeff, who does that? You can work with Jennifer on a
Yeah.
order to the court, I take it?
Yeah, we'll petition the court for access.
Okay. I appreciate that. I mean, I just feel bad for the town as a whole, but for the neighborhood too, the neighbors or someone that should wander in there, something could, happen, obviously, seriously, so. All right. Appreciate that. So we don't need to do anything with this, Arosh? Just, like I said, review it and,
No, just move to receive the blighted risk property.
okay.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it for now.
All right, so we'll
Okay,
make a motion to.
I will move to receive the blighted properties list from the town manager for consideration.
Second on that?
Okay.
Any other comments or questions? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Any opposed? I'm sorry. So moved. If I could move past the appointments tonight, because I talked to Mike DiLorenzo. There might be a couple other applications were coming in for this commission, so I just wanted to see. A couple of people mentioned it, so we could just wait on that. That's okay. So down to the town manager's report. Mr. Arosh, how are we doing?
We're doing great.
How's the town doing?
Town is doing fabulously well.
That's good.
We had 2 years of no tax increases.
That helps.
layoffs,
That helps a little bit.
Right?
Yeah.
We have a AAA bond rating. We kept town hall open for business. We didn't have any layoffs. People are generally good.
That's good.
Yeah.
And we have $85 million of investment in our town too in the last 5-6 years.
So
Not stagnant at all, is it?
So,
That is-
but there's always what I call continuous improvement, right?
Yes.
That we can do to improve things.
Could always do better, but I think we've been very fortunate with this, through COVID especially, all kidding aside, we've had trouble, but, people, individuals, of course, have been sick and worse and, economic problems, but, as a town, from what I could gather, around the state and around the country, we've been, did pretty well considering, as a group.
And we did have some storms, hurricanes and.
Oh, we have that, yeah. Well, I mean, compared to what other people are dealing with,
Yeah.
yeah, ultimately, whew,
Yeah.
not
So,
too bad.
not too bad at all.
No, very lucky.
We have really good staff here that are very dedicated.
Well, it's, you know what? It's all a team effort with the town, right?
Yep,
Town
absolutely.
staff, the boards and commissions, everybody pitches in and, that's why it's moving forward.
Boards and
way it is.
commissions don't even get paid.
Huh? What's
They
that?
volunteer.
Yeah, we get the big paychecks we get up here on the council and all the other boards and commissions. You make the big paychecks to help out, but,
Something wrong with all of us.
yeah, obviously, there's an issue. Oh, it's all the community spirit, right, to help
So,
out.
few updates. Just planning for the year. One of the things I want to talk to you about, information distributing and coming to council members on an equal basis, right? So I do spend by design, spend a lot of time with the mayor because that's who I deal with. And, 99% of the time, those communications are about residents' tree limb or mailbox getting hit or some complaint about something. If they're not very glamorous, tell you the truth. But I have,
I get extra money for that extra
Yeah.
time I put in, right? I get a little extra
They
money
call
than
you
the
at
other
home,
council
but-
members,
right.
yeah.
I didn't see that on the list tonight. Transfers, I didn't see it.
So, but one of the things I want to talk to you about is how can we improve that a little bit better? It is probably not very efficient for me to meet 7 times with all of you. What I would suggest is that I share information with one person like I do with the mayor, planning to have monthly meetings with Councilor Ranaga. And when you caucus, you can share that information with your group. And then if you have anything that you want to bring to the council or the agenda or any other initiatives, just bring it up the ladder because I'd be happy to discuss that and share with everyone. So this way, everyone feels like they're part of the conversation and discussion, and we can keep things going. And there are a lot of things that happen, and sometimes, it's possible that I don't think what's, important to somebody else might not be important to some other council member. So let's.
I mean, I don't even hear stuff all the time until really residents or
Yep.
somebody mentions it to me that, hey, you guys doing this? Like, what? So I got to call Roche as well, because I mean, there's so many things going on, right? I mean, there really is a lot of things going on, and we are volunteers and we try and keep up with everything the best we all can, but you just, there's so many things happening on a daily
Right.
basis. It is.
And
it is
sometimes when you call me, I have to tell you, I'll get back to you.
Yeah, right, right. You haven't even heard about some things that
Right.
are going on. So yeah, no, it's difficult to be 100% informed for every one of us, no question.
All right. So a couple of priorities for this year. I already briefly talked about the VNA. VNA was post last year around a $900,000 deficit. My goal is to try and bring it down to like a $700,000 deficit this year and perhaps a $500,000 the year after. We already eliminated 2 positions, July 1, a nurse and a nurse's aide, combined the administrator and the clinical supervisor. And I think there are other ways that we are looking at in terms of, type of patients that we accept and how soon how long we keep them. But this group, that Symmetry, is really good at these type of things. There are references that I'm going to follow up. They've done a lot of these things. I think we have to give it a try to see what is the best way that we can do, not just census, actually improve our top line. And then there are a lot of efficiencies. There are certain technologies that we can use to minimize, duplication of efforts and other things that we do. So that'll be a priority for me to work through that for this year.
That study is
next year.
that's great. We're doing that. I know we've looked at this for a few years. It's just a difficult problem. And again, the care is wonderful.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
just the cost is, we have to somehow contain it.
Yeah. And it just, the Medicare reimbursements and other things work in strange ways, that if you continue to treat people for a long time, they keep producing what you get reimbursed. So you lose money on some patients. I mean, I'm sorry, we shouldn't be talking like that.
Well, no,
It's
but
also, you have to look at the business aspect of it too, right?
right. And well, and then as some people and some boards and commissions don't realize that it's in the charter.
Yep,
We
it
can't
is.
just
Yep.
not fund it or just change it
Yep.
at will. We would have to go, which we, after this study and after we're doing everything possible to contain some of the costs and keep up our standard of care. Maybe we need to go in the charter and figure out a better way. I don't know, we'll see. We got some options here now with that consultant. So that's good to hear.
Okay, I'll keep you posted. The other one is Timberland. We had quite a few joint meetings. I reminded Mr. DeFazio that when we left the last meeting, they were going to complete or modify and their statement of need, send it to
Right,
the
right.
council, which they will do at some point soon.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I also want to look at, as we go through this year, planning for next fiscal year, look at Timberland and set it up as a special revenue fund. What I mean by that is if they stand on their own bottom line, and if they make money, they get to roll it forward. They lose money, it comes off of that. So as much as possible to keep it off the mill rate, so to say, right? At least the operating cost and everything that run. So I've started talking, we did a temporary structural change, not hiring a director, but that's not a permanent structure. You might have to have someone part-time at least be the director. And then also we have some opportunities, I believe, with bidding out some of the prices that we spend each year, high-cost items. So that will happen this year. And I think there's a good possibility that we can improve things there and invest more in Timberland itself.
Yeah, that's
You make
great.
money, you can invest it in there. So that's on the list. I do want to remind we have some open items for the ordinance committee. One is the leash law. We got to bring that at some point. And we had also, there was a request to look at a flag policy for the town,
Oh, yeah.
which Attorney D'Onofrio has given me some samples, which I'm willing to bring to the ordinance committee. And the third one is probably not as important, and it doesn't happen that much. We don't have a noise ordinance in town. There was one complaint about from a resident about noise coming from a motel on the Berlin Turnpike. But that doesn't happen often, and the person requested both of us to try and consider noise ordinance. So
Yeah, we should do that.
we'll bring some information on that. It's not, there's a little complicated about, we have a construction related ordinance, but not a real noise ordinance. So we probably want to have a discussion about that as well. The other one is the town website, which was a priority for us to try and improve it. And so the project is complete. If you go look at it, when you first go in, you'll have a smart search function, which is to say, and a link to the Facebook page right there. So people go one place, you click it, you go in there. And the smart search function is if you start typing into it, it'll give related topics. So if you just put tax, it'll say tax abatement, tax payments. So you can click what you want, it take you there, just like a Google search, right? The same way. And if you can also look at the drop-down menus, they're all being updated, corrected. They all take you to something. And then also there's a section on how do I apply for a building permit? How do I watch town meetings? So you just go, how do I, and just simple English, like click on that. I always say 2 clicks, you should be able to get to what you're looking for. Pay my taxes. And also on the popular links, we added a meeting portal, which is everything related to meeting, the minutes, the videos in one place, right? So that you don't have to go through boards and commissions. So we changed that. All department pages were cleaned up. There were some blank pages from many years ago that people didn't update. All those were done, boards, commissions, everything in good form. And also the initial image, when you go in there, it was static. We put a video there. It's an existing video. So it shows Berlin, nice scenery, town, all of that. At some point, we'll spend some money and do a new video. I think.
Our meetings now, were they all on YouTube now? They're on YouTube now,
Yeah.
right? Within the next day, or how quick? Next day? Can we find them quickly now, or is it easier for people?
Well, if you can't find them, then I can't help you.
I haven't looked, but I'm just asking. 'cause
They're
people-
all over the place.
People always,
Go to
People
the
always
meeting
tell me,
portal.
I don't know.
Just try it.
I'll try it.
I-
Yeah.
I
I haven't
want
tried it
all of you
myself
to go
because
on the
I was in the
website.
meeting, so I didn't really
Tell
need
me
to
what's
review it.
working, what's not.
Huh?
Right? Like if you don't tell us, we don't know if it's not working. So I want you to go on the website.
Yeah.
Kick the
try.
tires and
Okay.
see what's working, what's not.
Yeah, okay.
And let us know. Go to the meeting portal, click on that.
Yeah.
It should have the latest to the meeting to whatever the next one, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Okay.
take a look at it.
All right. Yeah,
and,
we'll check it
see
out.
how
Yeah.
things work. So that's sort of the priorities and planning for the next few months, so to say. In terms of events, I think you already mentioned this. September 9th, we have the joint meeting of the council and planning and zoning.
Yes,
It's a
right.
presentation, discussion on the legislation, land use and development, and the whole
The
marijuana
Thursday
thing.
at 6, right? Here?
Yes, 6 o'clock.
Here?
It is here, right? And then September 16th, we have the joint meeting of the Board of Finance and the council, and it's a presentation on the American Rescue Plan. Kevin has put a very nice presentation together. It goes through all of the criteria, how much we got, what other things we can use it for. And at this point, we're just giving it to you, right? We're not asking anyone to make a decision, but it's complex. There's a lot of, areas that you can spend the money.
Well, it's good because there seems to be some confusion on the part. I've seen some things out there recently about what we're going to spend the money on, which we don't even know yet. We haven't been briefed yet. So that'd be good to clear that up for various boards and commissions too, who just seem to
Hence-
be putting
hence
out
the purpose
inaccurate
of the meeting.
information to the public.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great.
Um,
That's good.
And then, so something that came up today, and I just want to bring it up to you. It appears that in the past, it's been a practice at the end of the Berlin Fair that they've asked the town to come and help out with the road sweeper, 4 hours of labor to go clean the fairgrounds, and we have always done it. The town managers in the past have approved it, but I do think it's important that you know that we are doing it, because a lot of times we ask for your approval when we get a $25 gift. So something like this, I asked Mike to cost it out. It's about $520 that will be, labor and the machine. These are FEMA billable rates. So it's happening the day after the Berlin Fair. If you're okay with it, I'll approve it, but I think in the future, we should probably bring it to the council because we do approve everything else, right?
Yeah, it's a waiver
Everything else
of.
comes to the
of,
town,
yeah.
and I just don't want you to be blindsided by this, but it has happened according to
I
everyone.
don't think I
that
ever heard that
every year-
before. Did you hear that, Pete? You've been around forever. I never heard that.
I think it was East Berlin Fire Department used to clean it
It-
for a fee.
So they clean it still, but they don't, we provide a staff member
Sweeper.
and the sweeper to
Okay.
do it. They still go and clean it.
Yeah.
Right? They do the trash and all the other stuff. They volunteer for this.
Right.
They don't get paid.
Okay.
So I think it's a fundraiser for them. I don't know how that works, but with them, we have always partnered. Town assistance provided.
One of the scout troops do trash
Out,
too.
they do work too. So there are a lot of people volunteer there and help out with the Lions to get it cleaned. So
Yeah, even during the fair, right? You get the scouts, you got
Yeah,
a bunch of
Yeah,
the high
Auto
school, right?
collection.
High school organizations are helping
Yeah.
out. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. No, I think that, right? Is that the consensus of you guys? That's
fine with it.
pretty,
Yep.
pretty reasonable.
okay.
I'll enjoy the fair, so.
And then if you're living on, Cider Mill, Winesap, Coal Lane, September 13th to 15th, they all received the letter from you, the mayor, saying that their roads will be paved.
Yeah. the
So
letters,
that's
yeah.
going to happen, just FYI. That's it. And then I had sent you a handout from NetSpeed. It's a internet provider. They are installing fiber around town.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a private enterprise. it's giving people more options other than Comcast cable. So they said they're willing to come and talk to the town council. I don't know if there's a need. If you have a need, I'll be happy to get them on the Zoom for 5-10 minutes, but I send the handout. It's pretty hands off from the town. It's a private enterprise. They have already reached out to residents. It was in the Berlin Citizen. Everybody knows they're coming. So it just gives people an option if they want a different avenue to get their fiber installed. So, but if you have any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to follow up with them.
Okay.
But I forwarded the entire presentation handout to the council probably a couple of weeks ago. All right.
Yeah.
That I'll stop and take any questions or anything else you have.
Any questions for
Oh, good.
our illustrious town manager? We have nothing. That's good. Well, you covered, I think, most things, so that's good. So with that, we can go to our special committee reports, which the last one really was the one we already talked about at the beginning of the meeting, right? Our community center, senior center advisory committee that's getting rolling, which is great. We're getting that going, so we already updated that. I don't think we've had anything. We've got a couple of meetings coming, right? I mean, not the special committees, but we obviously have our joint meetings this week and next week, and yeah.
If I may, Jeff, did you want to say anything about the subcommittee from the last time, since we have the two council members?
Sure, thank you. I thought it was a good meeting. I think there seemed to be some, I don't want to say confusion, but ambiguity about what the committee's role is and what their charge is. There's a document that was part of the July meeting minutes, I think it was attachment A, that had a scope for the committee. But really, in order for the committee to discharge its duty, which as an advisory committee to the council, you're looking for them to come back to you after they do research and get public input with a recommendation for a project. At least that was my understanding of the discussion back at your July meeting. So in order for them to do that, what I tried to emphasize is that there's, from a macro level, 3 primary items to be focused on. One is obviously the program. There's an outline of a program, but one of the things that's on that attachment A is for the committee to look at other facilities in other towns. So obviously, it doesn't make any sense to do that if the program is set in stone and already decided. So what I tried to emphasize is the committee should take a look at the program, get input from stakeholders and the public as to what the current and foreseeable future programmatical needs are. Secondly, determine what feasible alternatives exist to deliver that program. And then third, reach a consensus on a recommendation for a scope of a project. So, number 1 involves a lot of legwork. Number 2 involves working with QA&M. And then number 3 involves the committee, which is made up of some really great people that I think have a head start on this already. Discussing what they learned through their due diligence and reaching a consensus on a project. So I had to leave about an hour and a half into the meeting. I didn't know it actually went another hour and a half after I left, so I don't feel so bad for talking so much.
Yeah, it was good. I'm glad we're doing this, and I'm glad you explained it, Jeff, and happy for the volunteers, or yeah, I guess they're volunteers. Maybe push Mike and then on it, but no, it's all good. Because I think that in talking to people in town that I've just run into, and others I think have expressed this to me, and others as well, is that the 3 public outreach meetings to the senior center and the 2 we had at the high school recently, the way it came off, even to me, just sitting there knowing what's going on, was that was the project. It was done. It didn't translate to the public that it was a conceptual plan and still had some other options to look at. So I think that's important that we ultimately get the, look at other options and get whatever you guys come up with, back to the council at some point, what options may be, and somehow translate that to the public as to here's some different options, right? What are we all thinking to trying to get this thing done? I mean, I think we're from, my years in town, it's probably the closest we've gotten, I think, to get this thing done. And I think we're all determined to get it done in some form of a community/senior center, but it's going to take a little bit more work. So really appreciate the 6 committee members. They have a lot of homework to do from being there at the last meeting. So, but I know they're up for the challenge and they'll get it done. So it's all good. So where we at now? Council communications? What do we have? Anything? Council communications? Thoughts, comments?
The only thing I want to mention is the Berlin Volunteer Fire Department's having a 9/11 ceremony on Saturday morning at 8 a.m.
At Berlin, right? The
Yeah.
Berlin, the one on the Turnpike, the Berlin. Yes, for 9/11.
Okay.
Yeah, usually they do it by the memorial here at Kensington, but I guess it's at Berlin. Okay. Saturday, right? Yeah, 9/11 Saturday, yeah, okay. So that's it? Nobody? Okay, we'll end that. We'll just go on to our minutes. We could approve our minutes.
Move with,
There's one before that one, Charlie.
you're doing the third.
We got the,
I will make a motion to accept the July 20th.
Yep.
2021 meeting minutes.
second on that.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So moved. We have now, we got the,
Make a motion, we accept the August 3rd special meeting minutes.
thank you. Second?
Wasn't there.
Yeah.
Same.
Council, Deputy Mayor wasn't there. Peter, you just second the third, you were there, right? Second to third?
I'll second.
You can, Mike, yeah.
I can second.
Peter, I don't know.
Yep.
He's
That doesn't matter.
intently reading. I don't know what. I'm just kidding. Thank you. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I
Opposed?
abstain.
So moved. One abstention. Thank you, Brendan. And what do we got? The 12th.
Sure, I'll make a motion to accept the Thursday, August 12th, 2021 special town council meeting minutes.
All right, thanks. Second on that? And all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
One abstention. Thank you, Mike. Okay, so moved. All right. And we don't have our executive session. The reason for it does not exist at the moment.
It does not
So we
exist,
can,
yes, that's
have a
correct.
Motion to adjourn. Yeah.
So moved.
All right, second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. So adjourned.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks,
All right,
Jeff.
folks.
Thanks. Good night.
Good Thursday.
Yeah, see you Thursday. That's right.
Yep.
Yes. I guess there was some piece of property somebody wanted us to buy, but.
Yeah. Are we still on or?
Yeah.